I've never been to a conference that the conference hall was packed 45 minutes before it started. And I hope that's going to be the same tomorrow morning too. I mean, that really shows the amount of interest that data and revenue management really has in our industry. And we can look back and, some of you have seen me before speaking at conferences, and I love to tell stories because stories are something we can keep. I happen to run my own consultancy company now, and Amy asked me to moderate this conference for 2 days and say, absolutely, we need to talk about data and revenue management because we really are not where we're supposed to be in our industry, looking at other verticals in the travel industry. About 18 months ago, I had the pleasure to consult a very large private equity firm for an acquisition, for a multi-million-dollar acquisition in Europe. And when we went to do the commercial due diligence, we had a management meeting for some Q&A. And so we all got together in this meeting room, and everybody was nervous to get started. And then we started to talk about yield and revenue management and dynamic pricing. And then one of my questions to the management team was, do you do dynamic pricing? They said, yeah, of course we do. Oh, really? How does that work? Well, we set the price once a year, and then we print catalogs. That's dynamic pricing. Once a year, you change your price. That's pretty dynamic. Today, we know property management companies who change prices up to 4 times a day or even more. But that's not the vast majority of our industry. That's definitely not very few still. And I think we can optimize a lot. So let's think about a little bit what this is all about. I was thinking last night in terms of where we're at. We're sitting on this gold mine, but we haven't found the gold yet, but it's there, right? With all the data points that we have available, with our day-to-day work, being it through PMSs, channel managers, any type of tool or contact point that we have, in-destination application, guest communication applications, whatever, there's data. It's gold, but we're not mining it, and we're not putting it together. And I think this is what this is all about in this conference, to give you answers to all these questions and how can we put these data points together in creating gold for us. The Ford automotive company has started yield management and revenue management in the 1990s. And with them doing that, understanding all the different components and what we need to understand, they've been able to raise the bottom line by $3 billion US. By the year 2000, pretty much every airline, cruise company, and car rental company have introduced sophisticated yield and revenue management tools. And if it serves me right, today is like 2019, and Amy had the guts to say, hey, let's get us together and start talking about yield and revenue management. It's 20 years later. So we're in the dark ages. We have a lot of work we need to do. We're very passionate about professionalizing the vacation rental and short-term rental industry. But we need to start talking about the real stuff. We always love to talk about the operations and things that go wrong, and they still do, right? And we need to get better at that. And yes, I will not talk about dirty toasters and blunt knives and whatever. And for you to quickly share, I had a great vacation this year. I booked a beautiful apartment in the coast of Spain for 2 weeks with my family, and believe it or not, the kitchen knives were super sharp. So that made me very happy. But when I turned the dishwasher on, it didn't work because it was a sieve. And so again, I was starting to think, here we come to Atlanta to talk about revenue and yield management, but let us not forget that we still need to get better in what we do in our core business as well to make that work for us. But we maybe need to learn from other industries as well, not to make it as complicated. I mean, all of you have tried to book flights, and booking travel in today's world is still super painful. There have been hundreds and thousands of very intelligent brains building large OTAs, but booking travel is still a pain. And we need to make sure that vacation rental booking is not going to be painful either, and be transparent in what we do towards our consumers. But for that, we need to understand our consumers. I mean, to book a flight, especially when you travel intercontinental across certain destinations, you can spend 3 hours and you save a lot of money in doing that, but it's still very painful. But the airline industry has created such a complex revenue management system that nobody understands it anymore. And I think that's not our purpose here. So we need to find answers. We need to understand what is out there, what are the tools, how is it being used to the best of our abilities to create better yields, better revenue, and therefore have better margins, because we're under pressure. Our industry is massively under pressure, especially in the US, where 80% of your bookings come through third-party channels. So how do you control pricing? How do you control your margins and everything that goes around it to really still make a bit of money at the end of the day? And margin compression is definitely something that is not going to go away, and competition is going to rise. So we need to really get smarter. And I think an uplift on yield and revenue management is an additional source to create additional profitability, which will help you to navigate through these ever-changing times. I mean, I said a lot of times in interviews that I did for the last 6 months is that I've been in this industry now for 15 years, but I have never seen more impactful changes happening than what they have combined in the last 10 years in the last 6 months. And we need to get answers, and we need to navigate in that. I mean, we're now seeing a budget hotel chain like Oyo coming into vacation rental. The Airbnb IPO is looming probably next year without knowing what their strategy is. There's consolidation going on. Vacasa just acquired Wyndham in the United States. I mean, there's a lot of appetite in the private equity and venture capital world, but we need to get professional to make sure that we can deliver returns to these investors. And for the ones who have a very profitable and their own company, they want to navigate through that as well. And we need answers. And I think data, and especially yield and revenue management, is absolutely a substantial piece of that we need to focus on. So I'm really, really looking forward. I want to thank Amy to have me here. I said to her, immediately I'm going to do that. I think Amy's doing wonderful things for this industry. And addressing that point is being actually quite game, and the turnout speaks for itself. Yes, it's a topic. We have top industry decision makers in this room. We need to understand it. We need to drive it. And for that, we need to sit together, share our experiences and thoughts. So thank you very much for being here, and really enjoy the show. Thank you very much.